you're in a garden, right? And so,
Exactly.
and
that's
that's why I'm not like
saying,
against having these conversations or anything. But I
yeah,
just want to kind of, keep third eyes open all the time with this shit.
at all times. And as we were talking about these things, keep in mind, we were talking about the U.S. dropping drones. Okay, that's our Department of Defense, which is a corrupt group, off of intel gained by the CIA as far as what locations need to have these dropped on, which the CIA is a corrupt group. Like I'm not trying to throw positive versus shade towards any group. I do want to give a good look at what the status of everything is right now, because as we are entering this election year, right, and as they're going to be pulling from everything out of the ether, names that we don't even know right now at the top of our head, in 6 months will be the only thing we can talk about. You know what I'm saying? That type of shit. I want us to take a little checkup now, getting into this election year, of why the world is this giant powder keg and all the different shit going on, so that we can dissect it and say, okay, this is being funded by this group. This is being done for this reason. We do need to pay attention to this because that may play out. We don't even need to pay attention to this shit over here because that's not even realistic. You see what I'm saying? It's not to scare people. It's to get people a real checkup look over it all. You know what I'm saying? And people are going to disagree with some of the things that I say today, you say today, whatever. Yo, hit us in the comments. Hit us on our socials. Share us around. Say, hey, these dudes are talking about some interesting shit. Share us with your friends and family and be like, what do y'all think about it? Do y'all think they're full of shit? Do you think that maybe they have a little bit of some intel on this? Maybe they know a thing or two. It's just random babbling. And let us know.
Yeah, definitely do that. I wanted to throw this out there too. For anybody who has been a long-time listener of the Cult of Conspiracy, you probably remember our boy V that has come on. And anybody that's ever seen, he came on, he was talking a lot about Freemasonry and the occult and all that kind of fun. But we had to delete those episodes because old boy was fearing for his life. Fun jazz. We had to get rid of those. But hey, they were up for a long time. If you've been following the show, you probably listened to it. That being said, interesting how this election, and I just looked it up. I was trying to see if all elections are on this date, but the election, November 5th. Remember the 5th of November, right? Like, it's like
gunpowder treason is what that was based off of, which was Guy Fawkes and his co-conspirators attempt to blow up the Parliament building.
I know that, but I'm just saying, like, it's always these significant dates that they hold these things on. I mean, just look at the Super Bowl yesterday on 2/11, on 2/11. You know what I'm saying? And then even that was scripted in so many ways.
You know what? Let's talk a little. I'm gonna stop sharing the screen for just a minute. Let's talk a little Super Bowl. Why we got a little minute? You being the football guy, what were your thoughts, man? Because I gotta tell you, I thought about halfway through the first quarter that the Chiefs were gonna win, and I didn't think that because I'm a Chiefs fan or a Niners fan. I couldn't give any less of a fuck either way this game played out. But I noticed every time the Niners touched the ball, they had at least 2 flags that were called per movement, right? And meanwhile, the Chiefs may have gotten a holding call here and there. It kind of got a little more, neutral and favorable in the second half. But honestly, as soon as I saw that and I saw how the Chiefs were able to make some movements happen across the field, then I realized, of course, the Super Bowl was having, I think it was a 45% uptick in watching ever than before, specifically because of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
So I realized very early that the Chiefs were going to win this for so many reasons. What are your thoughts?
Well, to be honest, I really thought the 49ers were going to win because going into it, because it seemed too obvious. Like, if the NFL really was scripting this entire NFL season, it would be too obvious, almost showing us their cards about just how scripted it is. You want to try and bring viewers to the NFL? The NFL has been in a downward spiral, and I'll tell you why. Because they're worried about not being able to pull in the youth in their
because of reasons like this.
Their whole thing. Well, not even just that, but they've been trying to figure out, how do we bring in more young people? How do we bring more people to watch the NFL? Because it's mainly middle-aged dudes and on up, right? And because people are getting involved in other things, whether it's video games or other sports, or maybe you're just not really down for the bread and circus. I don't know, but the thing is that the NFL has been slowly worrying about that. And so it's not really a surprise that they pushed the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl after they got all the Swifties. Like, I thought that it was too obvious. But the thing is that it really honestly was too obvious. Okay, so Taylor Swift, she had an album or a song or something. I'm not a Swiftie, I don't know. But she had an album or a song or something like that called 13. And supposedly it's like her lucky number, she says. Everything that happens to her, it's always in 13s, right? So you got the 49ers, 4 plus 9 is 13, right? They were going up against the 49ers, 4 plus 9 is 13. Taylor Swift, she went to 12 Kansas City Chiefs games this year. The Super Bowl being the 13th. Okay?
Oh, shit.
And she was traveling from Tokyo to Las Vegas for the Super Bowl. It's a 13-hour flight. Okay, and there's so many 13s. Oh, by the way, the 49ers were the 1 seed in the NFC. The Kansas City Chiefs were the 3 seed in the AFC.
No.
It's just so many 13s all over the board.
I think they were number 12, dog. No, they were number 3. 1 and 3, 13.
Yeah. And there's so many things that, and I'm forgetting even a couple of them, but they made it way too obvious, this whole 13 deal. And then the Chiefs end up winning in fucking overtime. Like, first of all, the Chiefs were getting, even with all of the turnovers and all the penalties and everything, the Chiefs were getting that ass waxed. They couldn't move the ball a fucking yard. Meanwhile, Christian McCaffrey is just teabagging them the entire time. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick of the draft last year, who is just like throwing dimes, bro. Dude had like a perfect passer rating through the first quarter and a half or whatever it was, which is crazy. Mahomes didn't really have anybody to throw to. Nobody was protecting him. Nobody was getting open. I mean, there were straight up coverage sacks. That's how you know that, like a coverage sack is like something where, let's say the receiver runs a route and all the receivers are completely covered, and so he has no clear lane to throw it to, so he has to hold on to the ball for a little bit longer, and then he ends up getting sacked. It's called a coverage sack. So, and that shit was going on a lot. But if you noticed, anybody that really paid attention, and shout out to Rained Out Rantcast for pointing this out. I didn't see this before. So during the game last night, the Chiefs, it went into overtime. The 49ers put up a field goal, so they got the first score. But there's new overtime rules for the playoffs that if a team scores a field goal on their first drive going into overtime, the other team gets a chance to either tie it back up or go for the touchdown to win it, right? They just made that rule like a year or two ago. And because it used to be you kick the field goal in overtime, that's it. You're done. Your offense didn't get a chance, right? And so they made it a new rule. So the 49ers, they go down there. They march all the way down to like the fucking 8 or 6 yard line or some shit. I really thought they were about to end the game, but they ended up getting stopped. Had to go for the field goal. The Chiefs get the ball back, have one opportunity to try and at least tie the game in order to extend it or go for the win. So tell me why the Chiefs were on, I want to say the 35-yard line. It was 1st and 10, right?
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes, he scrambles. He's getting chased. He has nobody open to throw to. He scrambles out of bounds. He gets 2 yards. The next play should be 2nd and 8. Okay?
Yep.
Tell me why they pan the camera over to Mahomes' face. They start talking about some shit that doesn't really fucking matter or pertain to the game at all. And they straight up WWE'd it with all the different camera angles to make everybody forget what down and what distance and what yard line they were at. Because it should have been 2nd and 8 after that 2-yard scramble with a minute and a half to go in the game. And then the next play, it was 1st and 10. The next play, it was 1st and 10. And so how on the world scale, on the world view, literally millions, hundreds of millions of people are watching this game, if not a billion. I don't know what the numbers were.
Oh, across the world, dude. There were people in Ireland that were up late last night watching this game.
Right. And how is it possible? And by the way, the referees, there were what do they call? I can't remember what they called them, but they essentially hired more referees to come in. You're only supposed to have I want to say like 8 referees on any field. But they brought in more referees just wearing black jackets, unofficial referees to like break up skirmishes and shit like that, like if there was a fight or whatever. You had
like the two streakers they had, the partial streakers.
yeah, that whole deal. You have all of these referees, plus the eyes in the sky. You want to talk about, dude, they have fucking referees in New York. They had Dean Blandino or Gene Steratore, whoever was up in the booth. Nobody caught this. Like Tony Romo, Jim Nance, nobody caught that it went from 2nd and 8 to an automatic first down in the final drive of the fucking Super Bowl in overtime. Now I get it. I mean, I get it. It's just 2nd and 8. It's no big deal. But 2nd and 8, dude, you want to talk about your chances of getting a first down whenever you have 2nd and long, as opposed to, you know, if it's 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5, even 2nd and 6. Yeah. But 2nd and 8, your chances are extremely diminished if you only got 2 plays to go 8 yards. And so I'm telling you, dude, it's scripted 6 ways to Sunday. And I mean, I get it. I mean, I'm definitely blue pilling for it because it is my relaxation. But it's not beyond me that it's absolutely 100% WWE. And I love the WWE. I'm not even saying anything about that, you know. I'm just saying, like, I'm not going to put myself in a position to bet on something that I know is manipulated.
I didn't really know who was going to win up until the end of the first quarter. At that point, it was like, damn. Okay, they're going to go for that. The NFL is pulling on whatever audience they can. Here's why. All the cult members. Taylor Swift alone last year contributed 0.5% to the overall American GDP.
That's impressive.
There's no artist who can make a similar claim. Taylor Swift herself last year contributed 0.5% to the overall United States gross for the year.
Right.
Okay, the GDP for the year. So the NFL sees that as a massive cash cow for obvious reasons. And they received, 30% higher ratings throughout the year, and I think it was like close to 40 to 50% higher across the world. The NFL having lower numbers like this, of course they're going to have Taylor Swift's team win.
Yeah, well, and I know a lot of people are like, stop putting her on the fucking screen. Nobody wants to see her. I'm like, dude, who gives a fuck? Like, who
30% of their new viewers want to see her.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you got to look at it in a business type way for that. Like, they know what they're doing. They want to get Taylor Swift's reactions. Who cares, dude? It's a show. It's a show.
Fucking entertainment. And like you said, these announcers that go off on these tangents about shit that has nothing to do with anything. I forget who I was watching. It was was it a baseball game? And the runner ran through and slid into second. It was like a close call, but he was safe. And while they're showing the slow-mo replay, the fucking announcer's and both of these players are having child support payment issues, I'm reading here. Bro, you did not have to go there. Bro!
Why?
Why? Not only did that take away from the game, they're gonna fucking find you later for that shit. You didn't have to say that just because it was on your paper, my boy. Or whatever.
Well, and I think what a lot of people get upset by is that something about how supposedly the CIA or some government talked about using Taylor Swift as some kind of not false flag, but essentially just using her to bring in more voters, to basically getting her to spout off all of their talking points. And it's not really that surprising. I don't get upset whenever I see Taylor Swift because she's one person. You got to look at the whole organization. Who is funding her? Well, and who is buying out her records? Who owns her record label and all that shit? I mean, dude, to be honest, I have a kind of like a weird respect for her after learning about a lot of things. Like supposedly there was somebody that grabbed her ass and she sued him for $1 or something like that. Supposedly somebody was trying to buy out her record label, and so what she did is that she re-recorded all of her songs and said, hey, everybody, don't listen to that version anymore, listen to this new version. And so I mean, hey dude, big money moves. I'm not mad at it. I can see
that's power.
I understand what business
said. That's somebody who has real power. You're telling me that an artist can solo re-record all their old shit, tell the world, don't download that version anymore, download this version, and was able to successfully do that and all of their fans made that shift, re-downloaded songs they had already bought once upon a time, and like, dude, that is fucking power. Say what you want.
Right.
That is tangible power.
But what I will say is that, you know, anytime we're looking at any kind of character like this that has that much pull, they're controlled. And I know a lot of people don't want to agree with that. You don't want to look into how the music is made. You don't want to look into what kind of hertz are being used in that kind of music. You don't want to look at any of the undertones of what's being talked about. You don't want to look into the occult words that are being used to fucking put a spell on you and make you think that whatever you're doing is okay because T Swift did it. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't agree with that. But at the same time, the rulers of this world are definitely 100% occult, and so why wouldn't they be doing this? That's where I'm at.
I will say that I'm happy that, because you're right, I did hear that there would be a false flag type situation that takes place in at the Super Bowl. I was told that it was going to be affecting Taylor Swift at a halftime performance or something like that, and I was very happy to see that nothing took place. I really did not want to see a terror attack live on national television, especially whenever we have shit like this going on across the world. Now we have another article pulled up from Time, as a matter of fact. U.S. drone strike kills Iran-backed militia commander linked to attacks on U.S. troops. So the United States' response to these Houthi rebels was pretty direct, and in this they killed a couple of key strategic figures. This was reported. This picture, as a matter of fact, you can see it was the car that this particular militia leader was in when he got from February 7th. 2024. Jonathan, if you could please read, sir.
In Baghdad, a U.S. drone strike blew up a car in the Iraqi capital Wednesday night, killing a high-ranking commander of the powerful Kataib Hezbollah militia, who is responsible for directly planning and participating in attacks on American troops in the region. The precision blast hit a main thoroughfare in the Mashtal neighborhood in eastern Baghdad, attracting a crowd as emergency teams picked through the wreckage. It came amid roiling tensions in the region and will likely further anger Iraqi government leaders, who U.S. officials said were not notified in advance of the strike.
Yeah,
there you go.
So the Iraqi government's not too happy about the attack that happened. I get that. Security forces closed off the heavy guarded green zone, where a number of diplomatic compounds are located, and there were concerns about social media postings urging protests to storm the U.S. embassy.
Oh, we can't.
So they were already kind of expecting that the U.S. embassy in that country was about to get overran, but apparently that has not happened as of now.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm not even surprised. I mean, this is just another day, bro. Whenever I see that there's drone strikes in Syria and Iraq and Afghanistan and fucking Israel, and it's like, you know, to me, it's the sad truth of just the reality that we live in, that this is the shit that is constantly being just put into our face. And I mean, and look, it could be happening, maybe it's not happening, I don't know, I'm not there, but I don't know. You know.
So this is another article that's from February 5th, 2024. At least 6 Kurdish fighters are killed in a drone attack on a Syrian base housing U.S. troops. So here's the deal. This is another attack that just happened in Iraq against Kurdish fighters, in Syria. Now, according to the article, U.S. service members were not killed in this attack, but 6 Kurdish fighters were. So this is Iran launching an attack in Syria. Okay, so there's another symbol. This was an attack that happened from an Iran against other Islamic State brothers. Let that one sink in. If this would have happened a year ago, people would have lost their fucking minds in the world. Wait a minute, a Muslim country is bombing another Muslim country? Like, whoa. But right now, dude, with the way the world is being turned upside down, this is just another Tuesday.
Do you believe Trump whenever he says that none of this would be going on right now if he was president?
Yeah, because none of these people would think to act like this, because they know Trump would handle up.
That's true.
At the time, let's keep in mind, dude, whenever Trump was in office, he sat down with Putin. He had a conversation with Putin, and we didn't have any wars, did we?
Handed him over the ball.
Different conflicts. We didn't have troops rolling into areas they weren't supposed to. This has all happened in the past 3 years. And there's a lot more that's happened in the past 3 years that we're going to be discussing here in a bit. I promise you. And I'm not saying that Trump was the key, linchpin to all of this. I am saying that the powers that be, quote unquote, didn't want him in power for this. Whenever whenever Biden, quote unquote, took office, they wanted America to have a weak, spineless leader at the helm so that America could not get in the way of any of this shit happening around the world.
So you think that they don't want Trump in office because if Trump was in office, it would prevent them from all of these war tactics, and it would prevent their plan from coming through. So you believe that?
It's going to postpone it. It's going to
Postpone it. Okay.
Now,
so,
Trump, the argument, the big talk is that Trump is trying to get in there and stop it from happening. Right? He's not trying to just postpone it. Trump is trying to stop the elites from doing what they're doing. At least that's what the QAnon crowd believes. I don't believe that. I believe Trump's a businessman who is going to do what's best for him. He's going to always take care of number one, or first and foremost. But war is bad for business. So I believe that Trump recognizes that and realizes that while there is such a thing as useful war, none of this shit would be classified as a useful war.
You know, I meant to try and have a show with Brooke before we left, or before I left, because she actually called me on the way out here, and she was like, the first time I came out to bring, bring my car out here so that I have a car to drive back. That whole deal. But I came out like a week beforehand, before I came out here. But during that week, Brooke was like, I'm just calling to check on you. You know, I love you. I want you to know that you can talk to me about whatever's going on and stuff like that. She's always so sweet and so endearing. But she was like, I better get a show with you before you guys leave, and then we weren't able to. And I'm like, damn it, I feel so bad about that. So we're gonna have to get her on here really soon.
Absolutely.
See what's going on in QAnon world.
Yeah, I got to hear what the QAnon crowd says, because we're going to talk about Xi here in just a minute, I promise you. As of now, this is the U.S. News. I do want to play this little video of Homeboy talking about it.
Prepared to utilize whenever necessary to protect our partners and our interests in this important region. There were no casualties to U.S. forces and none that we know of to any civilians on the ground. We cannot say for certain what these missiles and drones were targeting, but they were launched from Yemen, heading north along the Red Sea, potentially towards targets in Israel. Our defensive response was one that we would have taken for any similar threat in the region, where we're able to do so against our interest personnel and our partners. We are certainly taking appropriate force protection measures to ensure.
Okay, once again, I'm not playing this game with this ad. Anyway, long story short, they're saying that the Houthis attacked and the U.S. shot down a couple of their missiles. All of that to say, Houthi rebels that are backed by Iran are doing their shit. Here we have attacks on ships in the Red Sea are disrupting global trade. Here's how it could affect what you buy. Now, this is an example, Jonathan, of one of those things where you're saying, like, things in the news that may actually affect you. So, I'm going to cut to a couple years back. We actually did an episode on this. The Suez Canal had a ship that went sideways in it. Do you remember this?
Yep. Last year, I think it was.
Yes, and it stopped all trade in this. It actually wasn't last year. It was 2 years ago, I remember. Because my helmet that was coming in from Ukraine took an extra, 6 months to get here because of that issue. Because it was being shipped. Right? So that happened by accident. There was a lot of conspiracies to say that it was a plot to disrupt global trade for this reason and that reason, and maybe that's true, maybe it's not. But so the Red Sea issue with these Houthi rebels are actually now disrupting global trade. Like I said, they're affecting money. They are now affecting business of the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers. These big money conglomerates are now getting their money affected because of some little rebels in the Middle East, and they ain't happy about it. You feel me?
Oh, I feel, dude. Yeah, there's fuckery going on. Anytime you're taking money out of the biggest pockets in the world, there's gonna be an effect. I mean, there's cause and effect, and there's going to be something that happens as a result of that. And I mean, I don't know exactly who that is going to be, brought on by, but I guess we'll see. I mean, the first person that actually says or does something about it, I'm sure it's gonna point in the direction of oh, that's who it affected.
Let's see. Here's a video of them actually attacking a shipping vessel, dude.
The Houthis are a rebel group in Yemen that have held that country's capital since 2014. Since 2015, they've been battling a Saudi-led coalition there that supports the exiled government of Yemen. Now, the Houthis have received both support and weaponry from Iran as that war has gone on. Recently, though, the Houthis have begun launching attacks targeting ships in the Red Sea. The rebels say this is to support Palestinians stuck in the Gaza Strip amid Israel's war on Hamas, though many of the ships that they've been attacking don't have any cleared links to Israel. This has endangered shipping up the Red Sea into the Suez Canal and the Mediterranean Sea and onward to Europe, disrupting cargo and energy shipments that are crucial for worldwide trade. The United States and allied nations have sent naval vessels into the Red Sea to shoot down Houthi missiles and drones, but the attacks have continued and shipping remains disrupted.
Okay, so there we have it. Car factories have idled in Belgium and Germany. Spring fashion lines are delayed at a popular British department store. A Maryland company that makes hospital supplies doesn't know where to expect parts from Asia. This is all done because of these attacks on ships in the Red Sea. They are delivering another shock to global trade, coming on top of the pandemic-related logjams.
Logjams.
That was? Logjams?
Log jams.
That's how you pronounce that word?
It's log and jam, bro. It's log jam.
That's an I.
That's a
Is that
J. There's a curve on that bitch.
Oh man, the G, the little swoop on the G. This is why I need glasses, dude. I didn't even see that the line went down that far. It's bad.
It'd be
You
like
take a beating. You need it. You're better at it than I am. I need it more than you, but you're better at it.
Attacks on ships in the Red Sea are delivering another shock to global trade, coming on top of pandemic-related logjams at ports and Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Houthi rebels in Yemen, seeking to stop Israel's offensive against Hamas in Gaza, are attacking cargo ships plying the waters connecting Asia with Europe and the United States, forcing traffic away from the Suez Canal and around the tip of Africa. The disruption is causing delays and driving up costs at a time when the world has yet to vanquish a resurgence of inflation.
Think about that, dude. I mean, the housing market, not just in America, but around the world, is going to shit right now. Okay? And in the middle of all of that, not all that going on, now everything we order or get from overseas is going to take extra long, which costs extra money. So here you have a little bit of a picture. And again, anybody who wants to see these pictures, these images, all the things, Jonathan, tell them where they can see it.
You can go to patreon.com/Cult of Conspiracy Podcast or rockfin.com/Cult of Conspiracy. Both of those links are down in the show notes. If you go over there and subscribe, you'll be able to see all the videos, all the links, our beautiful faces, our beautiful guest faces, and the before shows, which are happening every show. We usually talk about 10, 15 minutes, something like that beforehand, depending. I mean, if we have a guest that we're talking to, could extend a little bit farther. And it's just a fun little behind the scenes. Not always pertaining everything to conspiracy, but, you know, hey, if you want to come hang out with your boys, there's more to us than just conspiracy. We're not one-trick ponies over here, all right? But that being said, it does help out the program. It does help out our dream of doing this absolutely full-time. And, you know, we welcome all cult members of all opinions. We're not some kind of tube where everybody is just speaking the same exact kind of shit. Like, no, we are very welcoming and open to all ideologies. We don't care. Dude, we got somebody coming on here soon that is going to be talking about how all the aliens are demons. We have somebody that has come on talking about how he used to be a Satanist, wizard Satanist. And we've had people come on and talk about how the clouds in the sky are really not even clouds of our atmosphere. They're clouds of other planets that NASA isn't telling us about. We are open to literally everything. And those conversations, especially on the beforehand and in the before show, you know, you just get to see a little behind the baseball, as Jacob likes to say. But yeah, definitely go check that out. And also, we do have our live show that's coming up here in a week and a half. There it is. About a week or a week and a half, and those are always fun. 3 hours of absolutely conspiracy slaying with all of our cult members with their third eye all the way open, and our Rockfin members as well, who also are able to tune in. And if you go on there, it's a fun time, dude, because you get to message us, you get to ask us literally anything, and it's just a hell of a time. That's why we post them, because we want all the cult members to be included in on that. And while we do have a lot, there can never be too many, dude. I mean, they say, you know, 2's a crowd, 3's a party. We want 1,000 in there to create one of the most badass conspiracy parties ever created. So if you want to be a part of this cult, you want to be a part of the movement, you want to be a part of the know, you want to be a part of that third eye all the way open, then please go down in the show notes down below, check out our links on Patreon and Rockfin, and become a cult member with that third eye all the way open.
Also, just for the word out there, whoever that high school teacher is that plays us for his class, yo, hit us up in special. You're getting a free subscription, my man. That's a little pat on the back from me to you, because I don't know who you are out there, but I have to have a conversation with you about to what fucking context this was. Please hit us up. Please, sir. I will give you that free subscription.
That would be sick. That's
from me to you, brother, because I got to know what the hell that was about. Anyway, if you come onto that Patreon or that Rockfin, you'll see what is currently going down on the screen. You'll see the route being taken here through the Red Sea. That's that blue line, right? Right by Yemen, right where them Houthi rebels be located. Okay? This is a quicker way to get to Europe than all the way around the southern tip of Africa all the way up. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, a straight line is the fastest route anywhere, right? Like, you don't want to go all the way around.
And so these little homeboys right here have pissed off enough people that they're funded by some dudes over here, right? Keep all that in mind. These homeboys are mad about what's happening right here. So much so that they've pissed off a lot of companies that do a lot of trading through this area. Okay, that's not going to play well for them in the future to come. I don't see it being a beneficial thing for them.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's probably bad news. I mean, Yemen's usually always getting fucked in, like usually by us.
Well, not necessarily. In the past, we've done pretty well with them. But here recently, yeah, no. Now, they've had a couple of coups, a couple of civil wars America's had a hand in. Long story short, it's some serious shit, and they are saying that it all ties back to the Israel-Hamas war. That is going to be a recurring theme with a lot of this shit. So all of this going on, bro, the wars happening this way and that way. Suez Canal got me thinking about the Jordanians, and now they've recently had a lot of skirmishes going on too. But then that also led me to this other area. While we are still talking about this general area of the world, Georgia accuses Ukraine of trying to spread war after explosives were found on their border. All right, now this is something that just happened not too long ago. They found 40 explosives. Go ahead and read.
It says, Georgia's acting prime minister accused Ukraine on Tuesday of trying to spread war to his country after authorities seized what they said was a truck loaded with explosives bound for Russia. Georgia's State Security Service said on Monday that it seized the clandestine shipment of explosives bound for the Russian city of Voronezh, hidden in a cargo of car batteries driven overland from Ukraine via Romania, Bulgaria, and Turkey.
So basically, this truck filled with explosives made this entire drive around to get to where it was going. Go ahead.
Says the incident recalls a blast on Russia's bridge to Crimea in October of 2022, which Moscow says was carried out by Kiev using explosives hidden in a truck sent from Ukraine on a long route over third countries. This once again confirms in principle the high-ranking officials of the Ukrainian government openly said that they wanted and probably still want a second front in our country. Georgian Prime Minister designate whatever the fuck his name is. It's weird. In remarks reported by media outlet Interpress News.
Okay, so do you remember hearing about that bridge bombing? I think we might have even covered it. This is 2022, so the show was up and running. Although I don't know if we fully understood what it was at that time. So the Bridge of Hope or Bridge of Freedom or whatever the hell they call this bridge that connects Russia to Crimea, right? It was a big, big deal that Russia connected itself to its then militarily occupied new state because they did a military push into it in 2012. In 2022, a car drove to the center of it and blew it and detonated. All right, and so the bridge suffered critical damage. People couldn't drive on it anymore. And it was meant to not only symbolically disconnect Russia from Crimea, but it was meant to actually physically stop the flow of traffic from there as well. So that was a big thing that was done. They're saying now that the Georgian Prime Minister designates, I believe that he has been elected but hasn't taken office yet. Could be wrong on that. Correct me if I'm wrong, ladies and gentlemen. But he's basically saying that this bomb was meant to do something similar in Georgia, or at least he believes so. And he is saying that the powers that be, the quote-unquote they, right, want the war to go to a second front in Georgia.
Damn. That's unfortunate, but I tend to believe these leaders of these countries whenever they're not even involved in any of this shit, right? I mean, not to my knowledge. And so
Georgia was a satellite state of the Soviet Union, bro.
oh, there's that.
As was Ukraine.
There is also that. It says their leader, whoever is the temporary leader,
I'm gonna try to pronounce that. Excuse me.
Kobakids.
Kobakids.
There you go.
Never mind. K. My boy K.
Anyway, Big K has been appointed to replace Garibashvili,
Big G.
Big G, who stepped down as prime minister last week to let the Georgian Dream Party, which has ruled the country since 2013, pick a new figure to lead it into elections this year. The party is seen within Georgia as having steered what was once one of the most pro-Western former Soviet states in a more pro-Russian direction, particularly since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Ukraine's embassy said it was looking into allegations by the Georgian Security Service regarding the involvement of Ukrainian citizens in illegal activities and called on Tbilisi not to politicize the incident. Ukraine's ambassador of Georgia was recalled for consultations in March 2023 due to disagreements between the two countries and later fired by Ukrainian President Zelensky, leaving the embassy with a lower-ranking diplomat in charge. Russia has troops stationed in two breakaway regions of Georgia and fought a brief war there in 2008. Georgia was once linked with Ukraine and Moldova as former Soviet states keenest on closer integration with the West, but since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, it has fallen behind those others in pursuing membership of NATO and the EU.
So once again, these are countries that really wanted to push to be members of NATO, the EU. They are former Soviet states. They want nothing more to do with Russia ever, ever, ever. So they made that push. Russia invaded Ukraine, and they pretty much have stopped all of that talk. But anyway, so now they're saying that these explosives that were found, Georgian Prime Minister-elect Homeboy is saying is directly connected, and he's saying that this would have been used to create a false flag event of some degree to open up Georgia as a new and second front in this thing that's going on with Russia.
Damn. All right. Well, this new article, it's on MSN.com, so do with that as well.
Yeah.
It says...
this one, hold on. This one we're going to actually, hold on. We're going to wrap up about the Eurasian area first before we go into Southeast Asia. At this point, brother, what is your thoughts on things? As far as the geopolitics of the area, the forces that are moving right now, Russia and Iran super tied in together. They locked in. They old homeboys, old G's, okay? Now, Iran just suffered also a massive terrorist attack, more so than they have experienced since the Ayatollah took over. Okay, like upon their own people. There's a lot of internal struggle and strife among that area of the world. A lot of that hinges, or is at least contingent upon how things are going in Israel. Right? Iran is kind of separate from all of that because they're super tight with Russia. But they're also super tied in with what's going on in Israel because of their religious ties and their alliances and who they're funding and sending weapons to.
Well, I mean, I'm just curious. You're bringing all this up, but then you also say World War III not going to happen. So I'm really curious as to where the plot twist is that you're going to be bringing.
Okay, so it starts to kind of unfold here.
Dude, not in the mic? Are you serious right now?
Holy shit, dude. Did you already hit record?
Hit record? Bro, we're in the middle of an episode. What are you even talking about right now?
My bad, man. This new THCA bud we got from the Blom shop has been kicking my ass.
Aw, dude, you must be taking advantage of their new deals they got going on at theblomshop.com and using the promo code CULT for that massive 20% discount. Let me tell you, man, I went and checked out that website, and you know I can't partake of all of the substances they offer because, of my job. However, they do in fact carry all of the CBD products that anybody could ever ask for. I'm telling you, they really do have something for everybody.
You know it, my dude. They have such a great selection of THCA products, and with that promo code CULT giving everybody 20% off, they're the cheapest on the block. And you can get it delivered right to your door.
You heard them, Cult members. The Blom Shop's products have been cult tested and approved. So do yourselves a favor, go check out our good friends at theblomshop.com. That's the Blom, B-L-O-M shop.com, and get that 20% discount using the promo code CULT. That's C-U-L-T at theblomshop.com.
With the Middle East being the Middle East, it's always going to be the Middle East. That's all that's happening, and that's all that ever has happened. This area of the world is going to be in constant turmoil no matter what happens, because that's just what this area does and has always historically done. I can't actually look back in human history to find any area ever where this basic region of the world wasn't fighting in some way, shape, or form.
Right. Yeah, and I mean,
I'm going to be honest with you, bro. Even whenever it was under the regime of a caliphate, I wouldn't call that under a peaceful regime, because caliphates by nature are conquestial, right? They grow. They are constantly on the warpath. So, any way you look at it, this area of the world has only known warfare. Period.
Right. Well, and a lot of people in the military, including yourself, I mean, all say that, you know, it's kind of a waste of time to even try and modernize it or westernize it because they don't want it.
They don't fucking want it. They don't, dude. They are very content having internet and having air conditioning, and like they're Gucci. They don't need all the crazy modern amenities and infrastructure that we have. Some want it, sure, in bigger cities, sure, but most of the population in a lot of these countries, especially ones that are more rural and tribal in nature, they have no fucking need or want for any of our modernization. They have seen what it does to people. They're good. They're really good in the mountains with their goats. They're super content.
I mean, hey, you know, to a point, I kind of get it. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, they're not, I mean, yeah, there's war all the time, but they're not being MK Ultra'd at all times. They're not being manipulated at every angle. It's like, you know, yeah, you're fighting for your life, so that's kind of like a shitty trade-off. But at the same time, like, for them to be living in the war zone, in the life that they have, and to look at all of the Western world and all of the great innovations and all of the crazy technology that is just vaulting, you know, us into, like, another fucking dimension, for them to look at that and say, nah, dude, I'm good. Like, that kind of scares me, to be honest with you.
Now, we look barbaric to them, okay, and they look barbaric to us, okay? We see them throwing a homosexual off of a roof in Saudi Arabia, and we think that is animalistic. How disgusting. You would kill somebody for that? Their own personal freedom that has no bearing on you and your life. You're going to kill them, murder them publicly for that. That's horrible of you. Meanwhile, they look at us having homosexual marriage being legal, and their stomach literally turns, and they vomit at the thought of this. Like, you allow them to get married in your what? Like, they don't even understand that concept.
Well, yeah,
like,
because the thing is that they're really religious over there, aren't they?
They are, even though there's a lot of hypocrisy on that side, as there is hypocrisy on all sides. And I'm not here to point fingers at any of this shit. My point is, though, culturally, for generations and generations and centuries and millennia, that area of the world has only known one way of living. I'm sorry. No one's coming in there to change that. The ones that do want the modernization, get out. They leave.
Yeah.
I mean, if they have the ability, I'm going to be honest, there's probably a lot of people that are born into horrible situations that are living in torturous circumstances. And I know, like, child brides, for instance, like, that's a cultural thing for them, and that's very normal. We see that it's disgusting and appalling.
Well, because their book probably says that it's all right?
Absolutely.
And that's
it's all good.
Well, that's the thing.
I'm sorry, I disagree with your book.
Well, I mean, I disagree with all books, to be completely honest with you. But that being said, not all books, but all, like, you know, religiosity. I'm just like, dude, you know, my thing is that you have to, you can't just look at your religion and not have a brain. You have to be able to separate, like, all right, is this acceptable or is this going a little too far? in a lot of, and I'm not singling out any like religious books. They're all guilty of this shit. They're all like kind of like they take it way too far. You ever met somebody who is like super religious? It's like, all right, calm down, calm the fuck down, buddy. All right, like
I've been accused of being that guy, and then I've also been accused of being a hypocrite, and I've also been accused of being a you name it. I mean,
you're a bit of both, to be honest with you. You're like too much and not enough in like different categories. But that
I'm
being
doing
said,
the best I can do, dog.
that's
I'm
all
doing
you
the
can
best I
do. Yeah, you ain't nothing but a man. We ain't nothing but mammals. So let's do it like they do on the Discovery Channel. You know what I mean?
Indeed.
And so
Now, all that to say, that's why as far as the World War 3, 4, 8, whatever.
I'm taking a break, y'all.